Tonight, sources tell CBS News the U.S. Embassy in Kyiv is in the process of authorizing the departure of non-essential diplomats and families, but they are not ordering them to leave Ukraine just yet. This comes as Russia has deployed tens of thousands of troops along its border with Ukraine and in neighboring Belarus.
The U.S. says that if Russia invades, it will respond swiftly and severely with sanctions. And the U.S. is also training and arming the Ukrainian military. The first shipment in $200 million worth of emergency military assistance from America arrived here in Ukraine last night.
Why does the United States need to use resources toward this potential conflict when in reality we have our own issues at home, but also we need to find a diplomatic approach to that issue because we have this looming problem of climate change, and I don't really understand how the antagonism is gonna make the situation any better.
We could have replaced every bridge. We could have upgraded every road. They talk often about how expensive it would be to replace all of the lead pipes in Flint or across the country, and it's a lot of money that you could pay for 50 times, 100 times, 300 times over with what we spent on prosecuting the war on terror. And I ask you, for yourself and your family, which would have left you better off? I saw some absolutely amazing data about the war on terror. So obviously it was begun in the wake of the September 11th terror attacks. And along the way, it is going to cost a lot of money. The Cost of War Project at Brown University published an estimate of how much it's cost till this year, $5.6 trillion. And that's up to now and the future costs of caring for our war vets. There are so many things that are not included in that figure which is larger than any number should be when it comes to our economy. That is absolutely devastating. And the second you see that, you start thinking about what could that actually pay for? What cost is there to American society from paying that much? What have we not gotten that we could have gotten had we not spent $5.6 trillion on this war? What terror groups might not exist right now if that money had not been allocated in the way that it did? And a number that big, I think, can overwhelm people. So I want to contextualize it for you. You watching this show, there's a good chance you're an American. If you are, you have paid $23,000, $23,386. That is our mind blow of the day. Every single taxpayer has paid an average of $23,000 on this war. So a nice little mid-sized car, you on September 11th didn't realize you're gonna be expected to fund that in the form of bombs and things like that in the Middle East.
Okay, I want to.
And I ask you a question. When it was pitched to us, if the government had said, we're gonna launch this war on terror, we're gonna keep you safe, and you, every one of you are gonna pay $24,000, would we have had as much support for the war as we ended up having?
We would have had, for the Iraq war, absolutely no support, especially if the American people knew that Iraq had not attacked us on 9/11.
Now let's talk more generally about the priorities of the government. They've got $4.56 trillion to spend on the war on terror. What could they have been subsidizing? What could they have been doing here? We find out nearly 51 million households don't earn enough to afford a monthly budget that includes housing, food, childcare, healthcare, transportation, and a cell phone. But really, the comparison between the cost of the war in Iraq, the cost of war and terror generally, and the plight of American households, that is what this show is intended to be about. What are we paying for and what are we told we should pay attention to? And behind that, what could we be supporting and what should we be paying attention to?